Scott, you guys are way smarter than me at this. I'd rather you just did it. Okay? And I actually met someone from New York last year that we were here. There's two sisters, Patricia and Isabel. And they had tried hiring an agency and almost tanked the entire business. And they're like, Scott, we want to do the mentorship thing, but we think that ads is like rocket science, it's going to be too hard. They got through everything and they hit me up and they're like, Scott, that's it? Yeah. There's got to be more. Like, Meta Ads Manager is a confusing place to visit, but you only use 5% of it. And when you know that, it's not as intimidating. Okay? So it's pretty good for you to kind of figure it out. Like I always say in business, you know, we got multiple businesses, agency, brands, mentorship things. The last thing I want to outsource with any business is the thing that makes the company sales. That's the last thing to outsource. I would outsource admin, bookkeeping, everything. Sales is the last thing. Because if you can't sell, you don't have a business. Okay, so you got to take that responsibility upon yourself to learn how to make your business money before delegating it. You will be a better manager in the future if you learn how to do it first. Okay, so when I even build Merchant Master, we're on a 5-year anniversary. Like the agency launched in 2011, Merchant Master is 5 years old. When I built Merchant Master, I had a team, an agency. I could have been like, guys, go and build this. Did I do that? No. I did everything myself. The messaging, the landing pages, the emails. I ran the ads for a year until I was spending 50 grand a month. And then I was like, okay, now I'm letting this slide and I should bring on an agency. I got an amazing agency that's been working with me for like 3-4 years now. Okay, so, but I really think it's smart to figure out how to do it yourself because I know what's going on when I'm meeting with my agency now. And the other thing about my agency is we're e-commerce people. And this is like education, it's a little bit different. Okay, so Facebook and Instagram advertising. So I launched a few ads in the beginning. Okay, so I was testing some different offer stack formulas. And can anybody guess how many sales these two ads generated? 0. Okay? So these ads generated nothing. Okay? But what you gotta do is you're not just gonna put all of your eggs in one basket. You need to use that offer stack formula in different ways. I'm gonna show you right now. Okay? Anybody like omelets? Me too. Over here, omelets. Okay? So really, in the beginning, when you launch ads, you're not trying to scale overnight. I don't care what these Lamborghini bros are telling you. Like, you're not going to make $1 million a month. I see all these coaches like, you're going to be rich. I'm like, yeah, how long you guys been doing this? Okay, so truthfully, you got to like take a break. You're not trying to scale. You're getting the apron on. You're getting out the skillet. You're just making some omelets in the beginning. You're serving them up to your audience to see which one they like the best. You're mixing and matching different ingredients of the offer stack formula to see which one's the fan favorite. Okay, so one day you're serving up ham and cheese and bacon. The next day it's green pepper, onion, and tomato. One day it's parsley and mushroom. Okay, just mix and matching ingredients, serve it up to the audience with a very small budget, to learn which one is the fan favorite omelet. Okay, and then when you find that winner, you're like, ooh, everyone likes this omelet, but I hate the cinnamon that we add. Let's remove the cinnamon. Put a little bit more salt. Okay, you start to get a sense of what people like, their tastes. Okay, so here's some rules when you're creating your offer stacks. Okay, so it's really a mix and match process where you're testing different variations to validate which omelet, which positioning clicks with your customer. Okay, it'd be fun when you kind of put it in that lens. And usually, okay, I did get it right in my first try. I'll show you what it's got. But usually people are not getting it right in the first try. I spent a long time. I knew that this was the ingredient that would make everything else work. Okay, when your messaging works, Shopify converts higher, emails perform better than ads. So I spent a lot of time. Okay, but usually people aren't getting it right on the first try. And the reason is you need market feedback to reiterate. You need to know people responding so you can make it better. You need some data, essentially. Okay? I mean, most often, here's a rule, is when you're testing your omelets, you're most often validating which omelet, which offer stack, which messaging your customers love the most through advertising. But once you've been doing it long enough, you start to know. You're like, ooh, every time I use this hook, I get a click-through rate of 3%, and everything's converting high. And then you can apply that messaging everywhere else. So meta ads in the beginning is like a laboratory. And you're just testing these omelets, figuring out what people like, using that messaging everywhere. Okay, remember I was saying about don't be channel chasing?
It's just 4 pillars: messaging, website, emails, ads. You don't need to be doing anything else. You just need to keep working on this feedback loop, getting the customer feedback, reworking the offer, getting the customer feedback, reworking the offer until it works. Okay, so you guys remember how many sales leads we got? 0. These are the 2 that got 0. So I launched 3 ads, I believe, in the beginning. This was my winner. So that was that winner I showed you in the very beginning. Okay, so you guys can see now my category 1 headline. This will be one of the most expensive skincare products I've ever purchased, but it'll be the purest, and it'll give your skin a radiant glow like no other product has. Now I'm going to go into the hardcore origin story. Okay, my origin story. We were told our formulation wouldn't be possible. Experts told us our ingredients would be too rare, too expensive to combine. They said it would be impossible to stabilize without better ingredient, which is what everybody does. The world doesn't need another skincare product that doesn't work. So we refused. Countless experts, 11 labs. We've never been willing to compromise. It took us 5 years. We created 60 prototypes. Most people just do 3 prototypes. We're insane. Or we're sounding nuts. We're sounding stubborn because we're fighting for the best product for our customer. Okay, so that's the origin story. And then it goes into this little section I call the differentiation step. And I got some cool formulas I'll be sharing with you guys tomorrow for all this stuff. I'm going to show you how to do this in under an hour. I'm going to say video scripts and all this cool stuff. Okay? But essentially with the differentiation stack, there's certain things, like there's certain features, benefits, and your brand attributes that you want to compare against the alternative solution. So like most skincare brands use 5 active ingredients. We use 27. It's the most expensive, but it works the best. Most people water it down, 70% water. We don't use any water. We use sour cherry wine because it has a benefit on skin elasticity. Okay? And so you're comparing yourself to the alternative, and then you're stacking a bunch of testimonials. I call this a testimonial stack. But you don't want to just choose any old testimonials. You want to choose testimonials that overcome your customers' biggest objections. Objections on price. Objections on the result. Okay? And then it ends with an offer. Okay? And so you guys can see it's the same as the offer stack formula that I showed you. You've got a hook up there, you've got brand attributes, function, influence, transaction. Okay, so when I launched these ads in July 2024, in the first 2 weeks I generated $4,800 in sales. I was pretty excited because we got it right out of the gate. Okay? And my first full month of launching ads, or running ads, 12,000. And then my third, 20,000. You can see there's a period here where I wasn't generating any sales for like 10 days. But I can still see that people were adding to cart, they were initiating checkout, there was a lot of good metrics, so I was like, I waited. But then I just took my proven long form copy and I just tried it with some new creative and some new audiences and caught it again. Okay, so you gotta kind of like pivot as you go. But when you get these things working, who remembers when I was talking about like the triangle, the evergreen growth engine? This is what typically happens when you get it going. Okay, so when we got our little triangle, for simplicity's sake, for the second part of the discussion, I'm just going to show you this triangle. There's my triangle. There's the real triangle, the triangle I'm going to show you. Okay, but this is what it looks like when you get the 4 pillars working. Time and time again, I've seen this hundreds of times. This is what it looks like. Okay, now we're ready for step 2, where I'm going to be talking about profitability and cash, which we need for our business to stay the game. Okay, and this is important. This is important. We need some cash. So now I'm going to show you, once you got the evergreen engine working, we're ready for stage 5, which is the garden of e-com. Alright? So we got our evergreen growth engine, looks like this, I showed you guys that. I can't tell you how many sales charts I've seen that look like this. Okay? So I was asking a couple people before, like, why didn't Black Friday go well? And I was like, did you have your evergreen going? And everyone was like, no. When you do, Black Friday will look like this. I'm willing to bet. Okay, I'm a humble Canadian, I don't do much betting. I will bet on this. Okay, I will bet on this. That if you have your evergreen foundations, your sales chart will look like this for Black Friday. Okay? The first course we ever launched with Merchant Master was Black Friday. And so it's a big opportunity to get a lot of sales. Okay? We like this because we get a cash injection. Everyone's like, oh, I'm rich. I'm rich during Black Friday. Oh, it's profit and cash coming in. And a little bit of relief. Okay? But now I'm going to talk to you about why you don't want to just depend on Black Friday. You don't want to just depend on Black Friday because then you're putting all your eggs in that basket, and if it doesn't go well, that's going to be a shock to the heart.